Today, we'll talk about Fabric real-time intelligence. Everyone, Chris Ang here. I work with data and Microsoft Tech. What is real-time intelligence in Microsoft Fabric? It's a service in Microsoft Fabric where you can ingest, process, and visualize data in real time. Plus, you can also take action using the Activator solution within Microsoft Fabric. Here is a quick high-level diagram that shows you what it can do. So you have multiple data sources on the left, and then from here you use event stream to ingest and process them. You can go straight to Act here using Activator to set an alert to do something. And obviously, you have to store the data somewhere, and that is in Event House. And we will create a KQL database in here. We have a KQL query sets. This is basically the query language to interact with the streaming data. You have two ways to visualize the data with real-time dashboard or Power BI. Plus, we can do also building digital twin to simulate real world scenarios, but we're not gonna talk about that in this tutorial. All of these are wrapped and kind of nice UI called Real-Time Hub, and you have also option to make your streaming data available within one lake, which is the OneDrive for data within Microsoft Fabric. All right, let's get on to the tutorial itself. Straight to the demo. Here is my Microsoft Fabric. I'm in my Workspace sandbox and my folder. First thing I would do is to create an event house. Event house, let's say underscore AH01. There you go, kicking in my event house ready. Now we are straight into the system overview page. You see here, there is this tab called event house. You have some a menu bar here where you can refresh or live view where you automatically refresh. You can plus new KQL database if you want. You can set the event house to be always on, meaning that it's always running 24/7. You can add more plugins, you can set more details. I'm just gonna click the KQL database here. It automatically generates your query set here to interact, and there's nothing here. You have tables, so your stream data will be ingested as a table within KQL database. You can do shortcuts like one-leg shortcuts. You can create materialized view. You can create a function just like in your SQL database. And you can also create data streams. But we're not going to use this in this today tutorial. Now, before I do that, let me just grab all my code because I'm going to use this later on. So all my code, delete them and put them all here. Yeah. Okay, what I will do next before I use any of these, we actually need to ingest the data. So what I will do is I go back to my workspace, or actually I'm just going to go to my real-time hub. This is the real-time hub. And the first thing I would do is plus data source. I will click bicycle rentals. This is sample data I'm going to use in today's tutorial. And this bicycle rentals is essentially data in real time about the number of bikes across London that is rented in real time. So there's a lot of bike docking stations, and each docking stations has a number of bikes in there with its location in latitude and longitude. So I'm just going to connect to this just to show you what it is. Let's use this as array, new source. Next. What's going on with that one? Connect. And just gonna create this for us. Okay, immediately I will open the event stream. Now in this event stream, it's already created for me the bicycle rental sample data, which is active. And you have the stream itself. And you have something else, which is the destination or the transformation that we will do later. First thing first, I want to edit this. So it turns yellow. Now I can edit this stuff. You can actually edit the name, sample data itself. You can actually change that if you want. Now in this event stream, what I will do is nothing. I will do nothing on here, and let me try to do some transformation. Just click the manage fields. Let's say I want to add all fields. And let's say in here, I just want to add one more field, which is the built-in time, the timestamp. At basically, every time there's a streams coming, I'm gonna reuse all these columns, but also I wanna know the timestamp it arrives, right? So I just save that one, and that's here. From here, I think it asks for a destination, and our destination is the event house. Okay, you get the digestion mode, and we choose event processing before ingestion. It's my workspace, and I'm just gonna look for my sample event house KQL database here. And I have no table at the moment, so I'm just gonna create one. Let's say raw data. Boom. And the input data format that came from the sample is actually JSON, so I just save that one. Cool. Everything looks good. I'm just gonna publish. And this is just a very simple example of how it's gonna work. From here, you can actually see the data preview or data insights. There you go. Forgot to mention that earlier. There you go. This is actually the data that we are using. So we have these ID, this bike point, the streets, the neighbors, latitude, longitude, the location, number of bikes per docking station for per bike point ID, and also number of empty docks. Yeah. And we have all the way here, we've got the time, the partition ID, which is additional information that's useful. Okay, so once we've got this, I'm going back to my database, my query, UQL set, and just gonna reload that one. Okay. First thing you want to do, you want to go back and refresh the event house so you now can see the new table called raw data here. And you got all this information that we've seen earlier, right? Now what I want to do is I want to go to my query, and let's say I want to move this table into my bronze, silver, gold kind of medallion structure. Let's say I want to move this table raw data into the with all these columns in there into the folder bronze. Now just bear in mind that all this the code is actually case sensitive, so bear that in mind. So what I will do is I'm just gonna highlight this and then click Shift Enter as a shortcut to run. Boom, and that's that. And if I go back to my database, click refresh, there you go. That goes into the bronze folder. And let's say I want to create a new table called transform data with all these columns, yeah, in folder string, just a empty table. I can also do this and just run that one. Boom, and let me refresh again, and I get my silver transform data. Yeah. From here, let's say I want to create a function. Now, this function, what it does is it, if you look at the raw data earlier, the column byte point ID is actually a string. It has byte points underscore and then a number. What we want is we just want to extract these numbers and put that as the ID in integer because we don't actually need these byte points. And we also want to create some new calculated columns. Essentially, that's what this does. So we want to create a function. It's not doing anything yet, but just creating a function called transform raw data. It will extract the bytecoin ID and just take the numbers at the end. We want to create two calculated columns, bytes to be filled, which is this one minus that one, and then you create another column with an if else with if condition. If this byte to be filled column greater than zero, then you just take this value as a string, the rest as an NA. So you run that one. What it will do is it will show here new function, but it's not doing anything. And what you want to do is if you want to use this function, you go to this alter table, transform data policy. So you create a new data policy inside KQL database. And just to highlight here, enable is enabled means that if it's false, this policy will not be applied. You want this to be true. What is it coming from? It's raw data. What is it doing? It's running this function. And is it transactional? Meaning, do we want the transformation to fail? If this transformation failure, do we want the policy to apply and the transformation to happen? This is like asset transaction in your old MySQL server. We want this to fall, so meaning that if this transformation failure on a particular stream, we ignore that and we'll just continue on working transformation for future events, right? It's propagate ingestion properties. This is basically just whether you want to propagate the properties from your source raw data, stream data table into the transform raw data table. We don't need that one. So let's just do that. And we apply this policy. Oops. Dang, I missed this one because it says case sensitive. Boom. There you go. It works. But we need to give some time, maybe a couple of minutes to let this showing because it's not going to show immediately. But I think while waiting, I think it's worth noting that when you click a table on the right hand side, you see the size of the table, original or compressed. You see this interesting one lake availability, and it's by default disabled. If you enable it, this will mean that the data will be populated in one lake as a delta parquet with delta log and also the parquet files. But we're not going to cover that today. And again, there's more details about what the table contains, the row count, how many rows ingested within the last day, the schema last altered by who, and last ingestion, and so on, right? Okay, if I just refresh this, let's see whether it's now coming. Yes, it's coming now. And what I will do now is go back to my code because now I have data. I can now do this query if I want to. If I want just to show random 10 records from the table raw data, just run that one. And similarly, you can do the same here. Yeah, you can have now the data. So next one is if I just want to do a bit more advanced query, not really advanced actually, is where you can write the table name and then you can do filtering where something you want to project this timestamp, no bytes. This is the x-axis, this is the y-axis, and then you want to render that as a time chart just to visualize the data and see what's going on. There you go. The the time chart is a bit ugly. And if you want to create a materialized view, remember that what we had initially was raw data, and then we create another table called transform data. This is a physical table. It's the data is actually modified, enriched, and put this new table called transform data. You can do a bit more control with physical data table, whereas with materialized view, it's just a view. It's pre-computed in memory. So it's a good use case for if you want to do a lot of fast, quick, accelerated queries for your dashboard, for example, where you actually don't need the physical table. It's actually good if you want to do aggregation and so on and visualize them. I'm just going to run this to create a materialized view. It's coming here within a folder called The view materialized view is called aggregated data. I cannot actually click that one, strangely. No, maybe it's by design, by Fabric. If I want to see it, I have to run query like this. There you go. This is running the above summarize ARG max. It's essentially, this is looking at the number of bikes where the timestamp is the latest, timestamp is the maximum by group by bike point ID. So it's almost like you want to select number of bikes, maximum timestamp from transform data, group by bike point ID. I'm talking in SQL in case you're familiar with them, right? So once you run this, you can also, there you go. I've written you the SQL query within this KQL query set. You can actually run that as well. And if you want to convert your SQL query, if you prefer, because sometimes you want to convert from SQL query to KQL, you can just write the SQL query and then add explain before that. If you do that, it gives you this KQL language conversion, and you can just copy and paste and run it. It works. It's quite user friendly, actually. Now, last thing I want to do is I just want to show you how we can create a real-time dashboard very quickly, easily with Fabric real-time intelligence feature. So let's say, see, I have a couple of queries is where I'm showing where raw data is filtered by neighborhoods Chelsea or timestamp is greater than an hour ago, and also a summary from here if I want to, right? So let's say if I just abstract this one, I run it, and let's say I click Save to Dashboard. Yeah, to new dashboard, and the dashboard name, let's say, is Array Dashboard 1. Okay, and then this is Chelsea data. Okay, if I click Create, a new Fabric real-time dashboard item will be created for me. See, it will create as a new tab, and it will automatically create a new tile. This is a new tile, yeah, and this is the value that shows is as a table. And if you want to edit, you go to this right hand top, click edit, and then you can resize that one, right? And if you want to create a new tile, you can create a new tile. And let's say if I go back, cut that for a sec. Let's say if I want to go back, and let me just take this code, yeah, back to the dashboard. Let's say I want to edit a new tile. Boom, run that one. Add visual. Let's say I want to create a visual. Just put that in here. Visual type, let's say a bar chart. Okay, it doesn't work. A map, does it work? Yep, I think it works. Let's say I want to create a new map of bikes, and then you want to use latitude, longitude. This is what columns available. Latitude column follows the latitude, longitude column follow the longitude, and then this is fine. And then you apply changes. There you go. You get a map. Look at that. How easy it is to create a map with real-time dashboard. Okay. So that's how you create a real-time dashboard in here. So if you just save that one for a sec, and if I go back to my quick KQL query set, and I just run the last thing here, the last quick KQL is to aggregate this data by group by point ID. There is an aggregation by all this. Now, if I want to create a Power BI dashboard, I can also do that, right? So let's say click that one. It automatically, based on this recent query that I ran, I can actually create a Power BI dashboard on the fly. So like this, let me just put maybe neighborhood and number of bikes. Visual is a bit small, so let me drag it a bit bigger. And you can immediately save that one. Save it to my workspace. Continue. There you go. Your Power BI dashboard is created. And if you just go to your Power BI view, top left, see, go to my browse. No, it's not there. There you go. That's the real-time dashboard. My bad. But if you go to the workspace, there you go. Okay, I found this. Now here it is. If I click the ra._pp_learn01, you get the Power BI dashboards that I created earlier. Okay, now just to wrap up, in today's demo, I've shown you how to create an event stream. I've also shown how you to create an event house. You go back to here. I think the last thing I haven't shown to you is the activator. So let's go to activator from the real-time hub. If I just click here and if I click on my newest event stream that I just created earlier, I can set an alert here. Set an alert. Can create a rule in here based on this event stream. Now you can set whether you want to trigger this on each event or on each event when, for example. So you can set, let's say you want to trigger every time the number of bikes is, let's say, greater than 100. Doesn't make sense. Maybe less than, actually. Less than 10. If it's less than 10, then you want to be notified. Let's say you want to fill up the bike rental docking station with more bikes so that people can rent. And you can message that to teams, etc. You can go to email, yeah, or actually run other fabric item. And once you've done all that, you can save it in your workspace, and it will create a new fabric item called Activator. You create that, it will start working immediately. But I'm going to do that just to show you how it works. Okay, just to wrap up, that's all I've had today with real-time intelligence solution. You have multiple data sources where you can ingest with event stream, store that in event house, act on it with Activator, and visualize them with real-time dashboard or Power BI.